I love Gary Vee, but you probably shouldn't follow his advice. Now, for those of you who don't know who he is, Gary Vee is a social media big name. He's been around since 2009, and he made his name from doing wine reviews on YouTube when the internet was young. And he has had a meteoric rise, built a huge business off it, no doubt been massively successful. But why should you not listen to his advice? Well, first off, let me just give you some context. Gary Vee made his money and built his business and built his brand years ago, like before the internet was highly competitive like it is today. So first off, he starts from a place where he has a massive advantage. There's no doubt that a lot of what Gary Vee says is sound, but it's implementable for the average person. Let me tell you why. So by the time Facebook and all of these different channels was maturing in the teens of the 2010s, he had a team. And so he had the advantage of leveraging lots of people to help him achieve his goals on social media. The vast majority of people do not have that. So a lot of people go down this rabbit hole of trying to replicate what Gary Vee does without Gary Vee's resources. The other thing is that Gary Vee doesn't need to sell in the way that we do. You know, I have to make a living, you have to make a living. So he can afford to play long games that the vast majority of people can't. So he can post content day after day after day after day after day, and it doesn't need to achieve anything in terms of revenue. However, if you're a solopreneur, can you really afford to post content for 6 months and not make any return? So there are a whole host of advantages Gary Vee has because he got in early. But ultimately, Gary Vee's advice, I think, is sound. I think the reality is it only works if you have a significant amount of resource, whether that be manpower or money, to invest behind your socials. And so when other people look at Gary and his scrappy videos, which I love, and go, I could do that, they quickly find that they cannot sustain it. And then feel bad when Gary Vee rips and says, you quit because you're lazy and all this kind of stuff. Gary Vee is living in another world. And yes, he's brilliant. Yes, he's got loads of advice, but he has resources, he has a team. And one more thing, when you're somebody like Gary Vee, with huge following on every channel, with a huge amount of name recognition, he can do things because it's Gary Vee. And I do wonder how much of his world has a Gary Vee effect. So I love him. I think he's brilliant. But most of his advice is difficult to implement if you're a one-man band.